This is the FPL Draft Zone, your fantasy team's best signing of the season.
Well, it's official, it's never coming home. But what does England's Euro final defeat mean for your draft assets? Manchester United splashed their cash on Zirkzee, but should he be on your watch list? And it's your last chance to join our draft leagues. Hello and welcome to the FPL Draft Zone, a podcast all about draft FPL. I'm Dom Crofts, I hope you are well, and today we are going to be looking at those draft assets who went deep into the Euros and the Copa America and ask when we might see them playing for their club teams again. We're also going to be looking at Manchester United's first big money signing of the season, that's Dutch striker Joshua Zirkzee, and as FPL drip feed player prices, we're going to highlight a few positional changes that might just impact how high up the draft you prioritise certain players. But before any of that, we want you to be a part of the FPL Draft Zone's new draft leagues, which we are launching this season. The plan is to have a tiered system with multiple divisions, promotion and relegation, and every manager that signs up will be allocated their divisional place in a random draw, which will take place right here on the pod in a few weeks' time. You could be top flight, or you might just have to target promotion. It all depends how lucky you get in that draw, but it also depends on how many leagues we create, and that is down to you guys. Right now we've got enough for a couple of really competitive leagues, but we want more of you to get involved, because the more of you there are, the more leagues there can be. So if you want to be a part of it, get in touch with us on X or on Instagram by sending us a DM. Our handles on both platforms are at FPL Draft Zone, or you can email us at fpldraftzone@outlook.com. That's fpldraftzone@outlook.com. Tell us you want to get involved, register your interest with us, and probably next week we will do that divisional draw on the show, and each manager will know exactly who they're up against and in what league they will begin their draft journey. And in very exciting news, all managers in our FPL Draft Zone leagues will also have free access to a brilliant new service called FPL Draft Notifications.com. This is going to be an amazing addition to your draft management career, because you get live game week notifications sent directly to your phone for FPL player point scoring actions, your goals, your assists, your yellow cards, the whole lot. But crucially, with every notification that you get, you are also told which manager in your draft league owns that player and how many points they have just picked up for that action. So if I'm going head to head with one manager, but I know there's another fixture taking place in the league that can affect top spot, I'm not only kept up to date on what's going on in my match with my opponents, but I'm also kept up to speed on everything else that is happening in my league. Every point scored by myself or a rival manager gets zapped to my phone. It is amazing. And from my perspective, I've got two kids, I've got a wife, and I've got a dog who is technically a puppy. And on match day, it's not always easy to keep track of how all the teams in my draft league are getting on. But with FPL draft notifications, it is a breeze. Gone are the days where you have to scramble around, load up the FPL app, and frantically search through your draft league to work out who owns the player that just scored, assisted, or bagged maximum bonus points, because each notification will include all that information for you. We are super excited to be partnering with them this season, and if you don't want to join our leagues, but you do want to have FPL draft notifications enhance your matchday experience, head over to www.fpldraftnotifications.com, where right now they are running a free trial where if you sign up, you get game weeks 1, 2 and 3 for free, and you can cancel at any time after that, or you can subscribe to the service for just £2.99 a month. And I'm certain that once you do sign up, you will not want to leave. Right, let's talk draft then. And after England's Euro defeat on Sunday night at the hands of Spain, all attention now turns to the Premier League, with teams setting sail on their club tours and those opening friendly fixtures kicking off all around the world. But for the players that went all the way in the Euros and in the Copa America, there's a pretty good chance they might miss the first couple of games of the season, and that is something we have to consider when it comes to the players we bring into our draft team. So looking at the Euros and assuming that the semi-finalists and the finalists will be the teams whose players are most likely to miss out on game week 1, the following players could be affected. From England, you're looking at the likes of Jordan Pickford, Kyle Walker, Mark Gahey, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, Luke Shaw, Kobe Mainoo, Declan Rice, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Bukayo Saka and Ollie Watkins. They're all looking vulnerable for game week 1. The other squad players I'd be less worried about given their lack of minutes in the Euros, so that's the likes of Aaron Ramsdale, Dean Henderson, Lewis Dunk, Joe Gomez, Esri Konsa, Jared Bowen, Conor Gallagher, Adam Wharton, Anthony Gordon, Eberici Eze and Ivan Toney. From Spain, Marc Cucurella and Rodri were both ever present as Spain coasted to victory in the end, so they may miss game week 1. David Raya will have a break, but I'm sure he will be involved for Arsenal on that opening day. He played just once in the tournament. From Germany, semi-final losers of course, Kai Havertz played a lot of minutes, so might not get that opening game of the season for Arsenal against Wolves. Pascal Gross was also part of the Germany squad, but given his lack of minutes in the tournament, I'm pretty sure he'll be starting for Brighton in their opening game at Everton. From Holland, Bart Verbruggen, Mark Flecken, Virgil van Dijk, Mickey van der Ven, Nathan Ake, Ryan Gravenberch, Cody Gakpo and new Manchester United signing Joshua Zirkzee were all in the Dutch squad, so whether they'll get full minutes in game week 1 time will tell. And then in the Copa America, we're looking at from Argentina, Emi Martinez of Aston Villa, Enzo Fernandez of Chelsea, Alexis McAllister of Liverpool, Julian Alvarez of Manchester City, Alejandro Garnacho and Lisandro Martinez of Manchester United, and Gio Lo Celso and Christian Romero of Spurs. Canada, well, they had 2 Premier League players in their squad as well, Tom McGill of Brighton and Luke de Figueroles. I think I've said that right. He plays for Fulham, apparently. Uruguay's squad included Liverpool's Darwin Núñez, Facundo Pellistri of Manchester United and Rodrigo Bentancur of Spurs. And Colombia's squad featured John Duran from Aston Villa, Luis Sinisterra from Bournemouth, Jefferson Lerma and Daniel Munoz from Crystal Palace, and Luis Diaz from Liverpool. Am I saying you shouldn't draft these players on draft night for fear of them missing out on the opening day? No, I'm not. But it is good to be aware of the possibility that they might miss out or suffer from reduced minutes at the start of the season. And that means you need to make sure that your squad is suitably loaded with talent so you can overcome a surprise benching without dropping points. Of the list I've just read out, the ones I'd be most worried about missing out on that opening day are Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice from Arsenal, Phil Foden, Kyle Walker and John Stones from Manchester City, and then maybe Alexis McAllister and Luis Diaz from Liverpool, and for different reasons altogether, quite possibly Darwin Núñez as well. Most of the players we have mentioned will now have a couple of weeks break. That means they'll probably miss some of the club tours that are taking place all over the world, and then they will be playing a little bit of catch-up in terms of their fitness levels and also their integration back into their club side. So it's just something to think about as you prepare for that draft night. If you do get Saka on draft night, for instance, maybe it's worth trying to pick up Leo Trossard as well, so you're covered for every eventuality on that opening day. Because let's face it, the best ability is availability, and if Starboy is not available, you need to have someone who is. In other news this week, the FPL socials have been busy releasing player pricing for the standard version of the game. As draft managers, we do not care about player prices, but what we do care about is any changes in player position, and there are 2 to flag that have been released at this early stage of pre-season. Kai Havertz is now classed as a striker rather than a midfielder. He was a midfielder last year. He got 13 goals and 10 assists for Arsenal last season. It's not really a surprise he has been pushed into that striker role on FPL, having been Arsenal's main focal point in the second half of the season. But Gabby Jesus may well offer some fierce competition in that role this season. He had an injury-hit campaign last term that allowed Havertz to shine up front, but having missed the Copa America to work on his fitness ahead of August, it would not surprise me if those minutes were shared a little more evenly this season between Jesus and Havertz. But Havertz has been classed as a striker by FPL, and Antoine Semenyo is now a midfielder, having been a striker last season. He got 8 goals and 4 assists for Bournemouth last season. He finished with 107 points. He may be a nice option as a fifth midfielder in larger draft leagues, but in all reality, I suspect he's likely to be one of those players that's available on the waivers more often than not. At the time of recording, FPL have announced 124 player prices and therefore 124 player positions. But it's one to keep an eye on when the game launches, and maybe, just maybe, there'll be a few more positional tweaks that might make certain players a little more appealing to us draft managers. The other news from the last week is that Manchester United have splashed some cash. Joshua Zirkzee has signed for Manchester United from Bologna. Zirkzee was at the Euros with the Netherlands. He didn't get much playing time there, but he was a revelation with Bologna last season. He was heavily linked with a host of big clubs, but it was Manchester United who stumped up the cash. They've got him for a fee of around £36.5 million. He started his career with Feyenoord before moving to Bayern Munich in 2017. He was very prolific in their youth teams, and then he made his first team appearances in the 2019-2020 season, where he actually got 4 goals in 9 games for Bayern. Not a bad return given his limited game time. The following season, though, his game time was limited even more. He made just 3 league appearances, mainly due to a certain Robert Lewandowski, and that saw him go on loan to Anderlecht the following season, where he really did start to shine. He got 15 goals for Anderlecht in 32 games. He picked up 8 assists as well. He was playing under Vincent Kompany out in Belgium, and that form was what secured him his move to Serie A and to Bologna. And after scoring 2 goals in 19 games in his first season there, he exploded into life last season under Thiago Motta. He got 11 goals in 34 games. He also picked up 5 assists. He won the Serie A Under 23 Player of the Season award as well. What sort of player is he? Well, first up, he is massive. He's 6 foot, 4 inches tall. He looks like your typical target man, but is actually much, much more than that. He's very technically gifted. He's good with both feet. He's actually been compared to Zlatan Ibrahimovic in the way he plays. He's very quick. He's good in the air, but he's also very creative. He likes to drop deep. He likes to spread the play. He likes to dribble, and he thrives off advanced runners, which means it can only be good news for the likes of Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho that Zirkzee has joined them at Old Trafford. I would not be surprised to see Rashford revitalise this season if Zirkzee can get into that first team at Manchester United. The way Zirkzee can pass the ball has earned him comparisons with Harry Kane. And no, I'm not talking about the Harry Kane we've just seen in the Euros. I'm talking about the Harry Kane we've seen for the previous 10 years. He's the sort of striker who can drop into those deeper positions and really utilise the movement of his wingers, and his long passing is a real strength. His numbers from last season as well are excellent. He ranked among the top 10 players in Serie A for goals from open play, chances created from open play, and successful dribbles. He ranked among the top 5 players in Serie A for creating big chances, attempting dribbles, and regaining possession back in the final third. And coaches and journalists have been banging on about him for quite a while now, and they've only got good things to say. His under-21 coach at the Netherlands, Erwin van der Looy, says what makes Joshua special is that he combines his best qualities: technique, strength, power, and his ability to receive the ball. Meanwhile, Dutch journalist Marcel van der Kraan describes him as a gem that needs to be polished, and he also raises the question about what Zirkzee's best position is. Is he a 9 or is he a 10? He's capable of playing further forward or dropping deep. Ronald Koeman has said he thinks he's a 9.5, but his ability to play different roles means that he is likely to get significant minutes during the course of the season for United, and that can only be good for us draft managers. But the biggest compliment of all for Zirkzee comes from a Dutch reporter called Suleiman Ozturk. He's got nearly 60,000 followers on X, so he is legit. And he claimed in 2022 that Joshua Zirkzee was better than Manchester City striker Erling Haaland at everything. Yeah, everything. He said Zirkzee is better than Haaland at everything. You may be dismayed because of that statement, but I will frame it. Zirkzee has vision, technique, strength, charisma, flair, footballing ability. He is therefore better than Haaland in almost everything. Imagine if Zirkzee had the energy and focus of Haaland, then he would be the best striker in the world. Wow. So some very exciting comments on Zirkzee there. And Manchester United fans, I'm sure, listening to that, will have every right to feel positive about his signing. How he fits into their team will be interesting. It's unlikely United will suddenly start playing two up front. So that means he's probably going to be competing with Rasmus Højlund for that striking spot, or he will be playing in a deeper number 10 role, in which case Bruno Fernandes' position in the side might need to be tweaked a bit. If Erik ten Hag can find a way of getting the most out of both Bruno and Zirkzee, I actually think that Marcus Rashford could be one of the biggest beneficiaries and should be high on your draft list. He could thrive off a striker with an eye for a pass and the vision to make the most of his run. So he's definitely someone to think about, Joshua Zirkzee, when it comes to your draft picks, but do your due diligence first. Keep an eye on those pre-season friendlies for United. See if he's going to be a starter, see where he's going to play, and see how his play impacts that of the likes of Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho, and Bruno Fernandes. See how the chemistry looks between him and the other attackers at United, and see if he is worth adding to your draft side. He's an exciting signing though, and perhaps could be worth thinking about on draft night. He is the biggest signing of the last 7 days. It would not surprise me if there was a flurry of transfer activity over the next few weeks now that the Euros and the Copa America have both finished. All sorts of players being linked with a move to the Premier League. The likes of Florian Wirtz, Nico Williams, Joshua Kimmich and Ricardo Calafiori have all been linked with Premier League teams. Meanwhile, Wilfred Noto, Mikel Merino, Emil Smith-Rowe and Amadou Onana are all rumoured to be on the move as well. So the transfer merry-go-round, while it's yet to hit top gear, it does seem like top gear is imminent. And as and when we do get those signings, we will be highlighting some of the best of them to work out if they are worth bringing in to your draft team. But that's almost it for today. It's a short and sweet one for this week. There's not a huge amount going on in the world of FPL until the game launches. We will, of course, be focusing on those draft round decisions in the next couple of weeks and working out who we should be prioritising for draft night. But before we do that, and before you do that, do not forget to get involved in our brand new FPL Draft Zone Draft Leagues. There will be promotion, there will be relegation, and the league you are allocated will be made at random via a draw on this pod in the next few weeks. So you will get a shout out on here if you sign up. If you want in, DM us on either X or Instagram, register interest there. Our handle is at FPL Draft Zone on both social media platforms, or you can email us. Our address is fpldraftzone@outlook.com. And don't forget, Draft Zone managers this season will also have access to FPLDraftNotifications.com. It is a game-changing service. Draft notifications sent to your phone for all key actions detailing the manager and the team in your league that owns the players that are getting points. And remember, Alex, who runs the service, is providing free trials for all of August and those crucial first 3 game weeks. There is no obligation to sign up after that trial period, but if you decide you want to, it's going to cost you just £2.99 a month from October through till May. You cannot get anything for £2.99 anymore, but you can get access to this. So get involved at FPLDraftNotifications.com. Alright then. I hope today's been useful. I hope that now you know a little bit more about Joshua Zirkzee's talent and the players who may or may not be starting in game week 1. We will of course be back very soon as we continue to build up to the new season. But until next time, have a great week and bye for now.